Throughout history, certain texts have been said to hold dangerous power, knowledge too forbidden for human minds, words that can corrupt the soul or shatter the psyche. Welcome to Shadow Scribe. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the terrifying legend of the book that drives people insane. The concept of a text so powerful it can break the human mind appears across cultures throughout history. The ancient Greeks spoke of dangerous knowledge in the myth of Pandora. Medieval scholars warned of demonic texts that could possess the reader. But among all these legends, one particular book has gained infamous status in the modern era. A text so disturbing, so reality-bending, that those who read it reportedly descend into madness. The exact origins of this text remain shrouded in mystery. Some claim it first appeared in the early 1900s, authored by an anonymous figure who allegedly spent decades in total isolation, documenting visions they claimed came from beyond the veil of our reality. Others suggest the text is far older, perhaps dating back to ancient occult practices, with the modern version being merely the latest iteration of knowledge that has driven humans to madness for centuries. What makes this particular text so disturbing isn't just its content, but the remarkably consistent reports of its effects on readers. According to documented cases, readers often begin experiencing symptoms within hours of first exposure to the text. Initial effects include insomnia, paranoia, and vivid nightmares featuring consistent imagery despite readers having no contact with each other. As exposure continues, more severe symptoms emerge. Readers report seeing impossible geometries in everyday objects. Some become convinced that reality itself is merely a thin veneer hiding something much more complex and terrifying. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports of readers developing an obsession with sharing the text, claiming they're opening others' eyes to the truth. This viral quality has led some researchers to compare the text to a memetic contagion, an idea that spreads like a disease. Dr. Eleanor Voss, a cognitive psychologist who has studied several cases, describes the progression. It's as if the text rewires the brain's perception of reality, breaking down the filters that allow us to function in everyday life. Patients become overwhelmed by sensory input they can no longer properly categorize or understand. What could possibly explain the text's reported effects? Several theories have emerged from different fields of study. The psychological theory suggests the book employs sophisticated linguistic techniques that trigger latent mental health vulnerabilities. The text might contain perfect combinations of disturbing imagery and existential concepts that overwhelm the psyche's defensive mechanisms. Others propose a more esoteric explanation that the text contains knowledge humans are simply not equipped to process, much like how certain optical illusions can trick our visual systems because of how our brains evolved to understand the world. A fringe theory even suggests the book isn't harmful because of what it says, but because of what it omits, creating gaps in logic that the human mind desperately tries to fill, driving itself to exhaustion and eventually break down. Perhaps the most scientific explanation comes from linguist Dr. James Harlow, who suggests certain linguistic patterns might activate regions of the brain in unusual sequences, creating cognitive dissonance severe enough to disrupt normal thought processes. It's not magic, it's neurolinguistic programming taken to an extreme. Given these reports, one might expect copies of the text to be highly sought after, both by those seeking to study it and those drawn to its forbidden nature. Yet verifiable copies remain elusive. Throughout the 20th century, rumors persisted of copies housed in private collections or sealed in university archives. The internet age brought claims of digital versions, though most alleged examples proved to be hoaxes or creative writing exercises. In 2008, a major university reportedly acquired what experts believe to be an authentic copy for their restricted archives. Within months, 3 research assistants working on the text requested psychiatric leave. The university has since denied the text's existence in their collection. Some skeptics suggest there is no single text, but rather a collection of disturbing writings that have become conflated in urban legend. Others maintain that authorities have systematically removed copies from circulation to protect public health. What we do know is that if authentic copies exist, they remain among the most closely guarded textual artifacts in the world. Of course, we must consider the possibility that the entire phenomenon is nothing more than an elaborate urban legend, a cautionary tale about forbidden knowledge that resonates deeply with human psychology. Psychiatrist Dr. Rachel Stern offers this explanation. The idea of a text that can drive readers insane plays into our fears about losing control of our minds. When people hear the legend and then read something they believe to be the book, the power of suggestion and nocebo effect can produce real psychological symptoms. Historical records show similar panics around other media throughout history, from fears about certain musical compositions in the 18th century to concerns about subliminal messaging in 20th century films. Humans have long feared the corrupting influence of ideas. Without verifiable copies and controlled studies, which would be ethically problematic given the reported effects, it's impossible to determine whether the book's power comes from its content or from the legend that surrounds it. Whether the book exists in the form legend describes or not, the concept raises fascinating philosophical questions about the nature of reality and the human mind. If a specific arrangement of words can truly break the human psyche, what does that tell us about the fragility of our perception? Are our minds merely delicate structures that maintain sanity by filtering out certain truths about reality? The philosopher Jean Baudrillard wrote about simulacra copies without originals that become their own truth. Perhaps the legend of the book that drives people insane has become such a simulation, a story so powerful it creates its own reality in the minds of those who believe it. Or perhaps the most disturbing possibility is that we all encounter reality-shattering truths regularly, but our minds simply rewrite these moments to preserve our sanity, creating a consensual illusion we call normal life. The legend of the book that drives people insane continues to fascinate us because it speaks to our deepest fears that our grip on reality is tenuous, that knowledge can be dangerous, and that the human mind has limitations we dare not test. Whether such a text exists or not, the legend serves as a reminder of our mind's vulnerability and the power of ideas to shape or shatter our understanding of the world. And remember, some questions are worth asking even if we fear the answers. But perhaps some texts are better left unread. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Scribe for more journeys into the unexplained and the unknowable. Until next time, stay curious, but stay safe.